Hello, everyone. What I'd like to do today is to teach you about the element of art of forms. And I realized that, I don't think I've had a chance to show you or teach you how to draw forms. So all you gotta have is a pencil and a sheet of paper. It could be notebook paper. This is nothing you have to turn into me. You don't have to submit it, send me pictures. I just wanted you to have the opportunity to learn how to draw three-dimensional objects that we know as forms. Your math teachers will call them three-dimensional shapes. In the art world, we call them forms because you have to have these three-dimensional objects to build sculptures and so forth. You can use a pencil. I'm going to be using a Sharpie to draw, so I know for sure that everybody can sort of see what I'm drawing. Might be a little harder to see on video of me doing pencil. I am going to be using a crayon a little bit later on to teach you a little bit about value, because if you're having a three-dimensional object, you're also going to have to deal with shadows or shading. So I get to teach you some really cool skills. So first, I'm going to teach you how to draw a cube. Now you can always pause the video to catch up or to go get something if you need a break. But this is going to be really short, really sweet. And I just wanted to teach you how to draw three-dimensional objects that we know as forms. So ready? Let's learn how to draw a cube. Now you can draw them all on one sheet of paper, but I'm going to try to draw this really large so that you can see it really well and that you can sort of follow along with me. All right, we're making a cube. So to make a cube, I'm going to first create, there's a vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal. You gotta first start with a square. It may not be a perfect square, but we're going to pretend that it is. Now, a shape is two-dimensional. That means we can measure it in two measurements. I can measure the width and I can measure the height. But if you're making a three-dimensional object we know as a form, then we're going to have to measure the third dimension, which is going to be our front to the back. So starting in the upper left-hand corner, I'm going to make a diagonal line that goes diagonal up. Okay. On the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to make a diagonal line that goes up. Now I'm trying to make them sort of the same length, same slope, or the same angle. So I do one, I do two, but I also have to do this bottom right, and I do a third diagonal. Okay, now all I'm going to do is make the number 7. I got to connect these two. So I'm going to go horizontal, and then I'm going to go vertical, and I have made a cube. It's a three-dimensional object, a cube. Okay. So I'm going to set that off to the side. Next. Now I'm going to get a clean sheet of paper. You can do this on the same sheet of paper. But now I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did to the cube, but we're going to be making what we call a rectangular prism. So let me scoot this up. Hopefully everybody can see. So to make a rectangular prism, I've got to first make a rectangle. So it's a vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal. And again, I have to do this very similar steps to a cube. So I'm going to start in the upper left-hand corner and do a diagonal up. I'm going to repeat that line over here on the upper right-hand corner, diagonal up. And then at the very bottom, I'm going to use the same line and go diagonal up. And I tried to make them all sort of the same length and the same diagonal angle. So what I'm going to do now is connect these two. Made that one a little short, so I'm going to drag that up. And I'm going to do a vertical. And there's your rectangular prism. Now you can draw your favorite cartoon character, make your own cereal box if you want, because the cereal box is a good example of a I'm sorry I didn't come up with that name, but it's a long one, so we call that a rectangular prism. So I'm We'll scoot that over off to the side. I don't know if we're going to be able to see them all at the same time or not. So we might put that one up there. All right, moving right along. That's sort of a square in the rectangle family. Now, what if we try a triangle? Let's look at some of the triangles. So I'm going to scoot this up a little bit. To make a pyramid, I'm going to first make a triangle. So diagonal, diagonal, and a pyramid is going to have a square bottom. So it's going to be a horizontal here. And so it looks like a perfect triangle. Now to make it look like a pyramid, I'm going to start in the bottom left-hand corner, and I'm going to make a diagonal out, sort of like what we did with the rectangle or the cube and the rectangular prism. So it's got this diagonal out, and then I got to come from the point to that diagonal. Now, if you want to do something really super cool and make it look like a real pyramid, we can repeat this horizontal and make a few horizontal lines going, repeat that as I go higher on the pyramid. And if you see this side of the pyramid, we're going to have to repeat the bottom of this line. So if this is horizontal, this is diagonal, we repeat horizontals on this side. On this side, we're going to repeat diagonals. Pyramid. Okay, now I know I'm going to run out of room, so I'm going to replace the cube. We'll put our pyramid up there for a few minutes. Now, I know this is going to look very similar to the pyramid, but this is going to be our cone. So we're going to draw another triangle, diagonal, diagonal. But the secret is, do not make that flat line. Do not make a horizontal line there. This is actually, I'd like for you to make a smile. It's sort of a dip line that goes down and up. It's an upside down arc. It's got to be a slight curve. That's it. That's your cone. Now, if we push the cone over, I want you to see what it looks like from the underneath side. So if I want to make a cone that we see the bottom of it, if we turn it upside down, we might actually have an ice cream cone. So if I do that, if I take it and I turn it upside down, this time we're going to see the bottom. And so the bottom, we're going to know on a pyramid, it's a square. But on a cone, it's a complete round circle. But if you're looking at it from an angle, it's going to be a curve going up, and then you're going to curve slightly going down. So that is your ice cream cone. This is a cone that's standing up. This is upside down. And if you, you can put ice creamer in it, you can sort of shade that in a few minutes and make it look like you go inside. Cone. So we'll scoot rectangular prism out of the way and leave cone up there for a few minutes. Okay, moving right along. Like I said, you're probably drawing on the same sheet of paper. You can squeeze all of these geometric forms all in the same place. So we've got pyramid, we've got cone. I've got two more to do. On this, we're going to make a cylinder. So to make a cylinder, I'm going to make a number 11. 1, 1, number 11. For the top, I'm going to curve up, and I'm going to also curve down. So a cylinder has a round top, and it also has a round bottom. And so we see the top, so I had to put the back of that curve and the front of the curve to make the oval, but on the bottom, we're only going to draw the bottom curve. So that looks like a can. A soda can is a great example of a cylinder. Now, if the soda can tips over and falls, we're going to see the round bottom. I'm not going to draw the whole circle because I want to make it look like it. I'm going to make it look like it is behind that cylinder. Okay, so if this is my round circle, then I'm going to do a diagonal out, and then to connect this to this, it's got to be a curve. I got to repeat this curve to give it the illusion that it is a round cylinder object. Cylinder. All right, scoot over there, Mr. Pyramid. I have the last one. I saved the trickiest for last. Sphere. So to make a sphere, which is a round object, we're going to make a circle. The sphere. But how can we make the sphere look like it is a three-dimensional object? How can we make it actually look like a sphere and not like a circle? So remember that crayon I mentioned earlier? Now, if you're using a pencil, you can actually do this with a pencil. So I'm going to scoot the cone out of the way. You can actually do this part with a pencil, but I think it's a little easier to do with the crayon, especially if I'm doing this with a video. Now, to teach you how to make this sphere look like a real three-dimensional sphere, I've got to do one more thing for you. So let's do this somewhere on a scrap sheet of paper or off to the side. It can be on the same sheet of paper. I just do this off to the side. So what if I make a rectangle? Now, what I'm going to teach you next is called value. Value is one of our elements of art that we don't really discuss in elementary. Usually it's saved for middle school. But I think to teach you how to make this look like a real three-dimensional sphere, I also got to teach you about value. Now, value is when you go from dark to light. So if I got a black crayon, what we're going to try to do is go from the darkest value, which is going to be black, down to the lightest value, which is going to be white. So our paper is already white. We just got to use the crayon to make it really, really, really black. Really dark black. So what I'm trying to get is you're going to have to use pressure. If I put a lot of pressure on my crayon, I can make this look really, really, really solid black. See? Now, what I'm going to do is the further down I go, I'm going to lighten up. I'm going to release the pressure and I don't press down as hard. And so as the further down I go, I'm not pressing as hard. Lighter and lighter and lighter until it sort of just disappears. This is what we call a value scale. It goes from light to dark or dark to light. Now, if we had a three-dimensional object or a ball and the light is shining on it, or if you think about the earth and the sun as being your light source, well, it's going to be wherever the sun's hitting, or the part of the earth that's closest to the sun, it's going to be the people that are in the daylight. And on the opposite side of the earth, it's going to be nighttime. It's going to be really, really, really dark. So let's take this and apply it to our sphere. So what I'm going to do is say, let's pretend. Now again, you can use a pencil for this. You just have to press hard on your pencil and lighten up with your pencil. But I think it records better if I'm doing a video. I think it looks a little bit better if you're doing a black crayon. But what I'm going to do is let's pretend that the light, this is a lamp, and it is shining light on this sphere. So this area is going to be the part that's going to be the lightest on the object. And so what's the lightest value? White. So I don't have to color that part. Now, light does not bend, it just goes in straight lines. And so on the back side of my sphere, it's going to be the darkest value. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my crayon I'm putting a little pressure to it, and I'm just going to keep going back and forth and make it lighter. Okay, now as I get to this side, as I go up, I'm getting lighter and lighter. I'm just barely touching the paper. I can always go back and make it darker. It's very difficult with a crayon to make it lighter. So I'm getting a little darker. And then, like I said, I'm going to really press down hard to make it really dark on that. And so that's how we try to create a value. So we go from light to dark. We're actually using the value scale and applying it to the object. Now, on this side, if the light is coming from here, then we might actually see what we call a shadow. And the shadow, I'm going to be really dark up close to the object. And the further the shadow goes, the lighter the shadow may be. So we're trying to create the illusion that this is a three-dimensional object. Now what's really cool is we can use what we learned here on all of the others. So if I scoot that off to the side, for a cylinder, what I'm going to do is make this side really dark. And as I get closer to the middle, I lighten up. I even pick up, and then I'm going to start making it darker on this side. And it creates that value that it's darker. I might even shade this as a light gray to help create that idea that it's a three-dimensional object. Same thing with the cylinder on its side. I'm going to go dark, fade light, and it's going to get dark, and it's going to get real dark as it comes around that bottom. And then again, I'm going to make this sort of dark. And what's really neat is you can do this technique with any color crayon. You know, this might be red, it could be dark red, light red. But again, I'm just sort of playing around, doing the value scale, and try to create these objects that look three-dimensional. The cone, again, it's like the cylinder. I'm going to press down hard. Then I lighten up. I don't touch. I get darker and really dark. I always like color, you know, the bottom of it's going to be a little bit darker because it gives it weight. Same thing on this. Dark, light, dark, and then I may even sort of shade this like a light gray or something. Cone. The pyramid is really simple because all you got to do is just shade one side. And I would do that light, pyramid. Rectangular prism. What if we leave one side white? Maybe the top is going to be a mid-gray. And then we can make the other side darker. It don't even have to be the darkest value. It just has to be darker than the top. Now I'm trying to color quick. If I go too fast, you can always pause the video. You can always fast forward. You can always come back to it if you need to take a little break. But I think I have a cube. My cube is the only one left. It feels lonely, so I need to go ahead and shade this too. Now, if you don't want to leave any of the sides white, so I can actually maybe give this a lighter value. Trying to fill in all of the little white spaces. This is going to be a little darker. Another little neat trick too is once you color that yellow, that orange, and that red, and it makes a really neat colors scheme. Um, so I'm going to put a little more pressure to this. This is going to be the darker side. Yes, you're right. I did go to the dark side, didn't I? There you go. And there's your cube. So I hope you enjoyed trying to draw the three-dimensional forms with me. Trying to squeeze them all so that we can see everything at the same time. It's impossible. But I hope you enjoy drawing forms, learning about value, learning about creating the illusion of three-dimensional objects on a flat page, and also learning about value scale, which is sort of cool. So that's it, everybody. I hope you have a good fall break. I'll see you when we get back, hopefully in class. And for my virtual learners, I'll have something new for you that first Friday after we get back. Enjoy, everybody. Bye.